Now, Consul Luis Franco is going to give the Othli Award to a prominent Mexican.
Today, as we celebrate the independence of Mexico, it is a good opportunity to present the most important award that the Institute of Mexicans Abroad grants to outstanding Mexicans living in a foreign country for their community contribution. This recognition is called Othli, and in the Nahuatl language means path. It is my pleasure that today we can recognize Mrs. Leonard for such admirable work as a prominent Mexican. Her work bridged the gap to integrate many Mexicans into their new environment and improving their living conditions. She has managed to establish mechanisms of exchange for a better reciprocal knowledge of two different styles of life and culture. Dr. Leonard was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, studied medicine at the University of Guadalajara, and arrived at the city of Columbus, Indiana in 1994 for an academic exchange opportunity at Indiana University, where later she obtained her bachelor degrees in general studies and nursing. An influx of Mexicans, immigrants in the 90s, set the tone for our candidate to initiate a determined community activism at the local level, are reflected in the following activities in which she has been involved. As part of her profession and employment in the regional hospital of Columbus, she became a cultural broker and advocate to the Hispanic community. Contributed to the opening of a free health clinic with Spanish-speaking services in the year of 2000. She served as a volunteer director for 15 years, and with her leadership, she has helped more than 7,000 Latin American families. Collaborated with the Consulate on the establishment of the Plaza Comunitaria Su Casa Columbus, located in Columbus, Indiana. This learning center provides basic education and training for adults. She organized training workshops offered by the National Institute for Adult Education with the participation of directors and administrative members from other community plazas at our jurisdiction. Collaborated to promote the IME Becas Scholarships Program. Coordinated events for the Binational Health Week in the city of Columbus, Indiana. She is member of the board of directors in the following organizations: Bartolomeu County Healthy Communities Council, Proyecto Salud Healthy Communities Action Team, Heritage Fund Community Foundation, IUPU Chancellor Diversity Cabinet, Hispanic Education and Literacy Partnership Advisory Chair, Columbus Area Multi-Ethnic Organization, and Indiana Association of Healthcare. I am already tired of mentioning so many things that she has done. Okay? She currently serves as president of the organization Aerospace of South Central Indiana in Columbus. In this organization provides healthcare services through home visits to low-income patients. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Laura Leonard. This is a very special decoration.
Thank you. I'm actually very deeply grateful to the Mexican government that through the Mexican Consulate in Indianapolis has given me this honor. I have been working with the Mexican Consulate, as Consul Franco clearly explained, for many, many years. I was in Indianapolis when Consul Aguilera initiated the Consulate in Indianapolis, and I couldn't have been happier. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I was born in Guadalajara to a great family with deep roots and tradition ties to places like Puebla, Mexico City, and the small town of Tlaquepaque. And I am the second of 9 children, and we were all raised in the confidence that we were the future and we needed to be ready for it. My parents were very forward-thinking couple that thought that English was going to be a good skill to have if you were going to be ready. So despite my desire not to do that because I had my own plans, I first came to the United States when I was 17 years old as an exchange student and never intended to stay here any longer than the school year. I had a plan for my life, and a visit to the United States to learn English as part of being prepared for the future was only a short detour in my mind. Again, I'm really thankful to the Consulate because this honor, while it's not necessary for me, it does bring the importance of being helpful to our fellow human beings. My work to improve the lives of people and to encourage communities to understand and adapt to these new populations has been the most rewarding part of my life. The experience of coming to the United States when I was 17 years old was very painful. The reverse cultural shock that I experienced at that time was nothing more than devastating. The transformation of going from competent to incompetent, from engaged to isolated, from confident to insecure, In a matter of just hours that the travel took me from Guadalajara to Indianapolis was huge. Not to mention the fact that I came from a city that has 8 million inhabitants to a place that, as Consul said, is Columbus, Indiana. But at that time, I did not even live in Columbus. I lived in a smaller town named Hope, Indiana. Does anybody know where Hope, Indiana is? Furthermore, I didn't even live in Hope at the time. I lived in a much smaller place named Clifford, Indiana. Does anybody know Clifford? Yeah. So I had finished my preliminary, high school and bachillerato, for those of you who speak Spanish. And by the way, me gusta muchísimo transformar las palabras entre inglés y en español, porque lo conozco, pero la mayoría de ustedes también son personas bilingües. Muchas gracias por el día de hoy, pero voy a continuar en inglés. So when I came to this place that was so foreign, I decided to make it anyway. Because we were not only raised for the future, my siblings and I, but we were also raised to be strong, resourceful, and resilient. And it worked. After a few months, the high school year was over and I could go home. Because I have plans, but as you know, just to prove that the best laid out plans don't really always turn into reality, I returned to Columbus, Indiana 4 years later. And I have been here since 1978. Consul Franco said 1998, but I thank you for the effort to make that younger. But it was back in 1978. And that is 40 years ago. The experience I had, though it was painful, gave me the training that I needed for the role that I would play later. 20 years into my life in Columbus, Indiana, my job became to welcome, engage, and improve the lives of so many, because I knew what they were going through. Igual que yo, pasaron a un lugar en donde no son apreciados, en donde no son competentes, en donde no son inteligentes lo suficiente para ser parte de la comunidad. And so, my work was to do that, to welcome, to engage, to let them improve their lives. But also, I saw it as my role to move the powers to be, not only in my immediate family, and my work environment, in my community, and in the state, to change the attitudes, to adapt the norms, to modify the policies. Programs are very good. We can have educational programs, all kinds of activities for people. Programs are good. Policies change lives and change the way we think. And so I was lucky to come into a community that believed that exactly. Columbus, Indiana, some of you know, is a very different place. And it's a place that allowed me to do what I did on behalf of the Mexican population that came to our community, and not just the Mexican population, but all of the Latin American people that experienced the same troubles. The community where I came from, that I came to in Columbus, had organizations that were committed to changing, organizations that were committed to helping, organizations and groups of people that were committed to learning other ways of living and learning how we can live together. I couldn't be prouder of the organizations that I have been a part of, or the community that became my home. I was really glad too when the first consulate opened back then, because our first child, I had to take him to Chicago, the consulate in Chicago, to register him as a Mexican citizen too. One interesting point too is that when my children became a little older and we will try to teach them some civics, I decided that I needed to show them what being a citizen means. So back at the time, I gave up my Mexican citizenship and became a U.S. citizen so that I could vote and show them that when you change policies, you make a difference, and you only do that by being a part of the process. So very, very glad too when Mexico decided to recognize dual citizenship, and then the trip to Chicago came again so that I could recover my Mexican citizenship. So I'm really glad that we have the Consulate in Indianapolis. It's an outstanding organization. I have worked with each one of the consuls that have been through here through the years, and I couldn't be prouder to have this Consulate in Indianapolis. More than anything, what I enjoy the most in my community as I did the work is to engage people to learn as individuals, and a community to be ready for the future, just like I was raised. Our community needed to be ready for what was coming. What everybody thought was a temporary, transitional influx of Spanish-speaking people that just came to work like migrant workers, we knew from the beginning that population was not going to go away and that we needed to be ready. And I was so happy to be in a place where we could do that. The work with individual people has been very rewarding, but the work to promote respect, fairness, that leads to inclusion and involvement has been my greatest reward. Of course, I didn't do this alone. I wish I had all the people that helped me standing right here with me. There are a few here with me today, and I am very thankful to all of them. They are here today because they were crucial to my support and the support of the things that we were changing. There are very many people back here in Columbus that supported me and helped me in this endeavor. If I start mentioning them, we'll be here all night, so we won't do that today. I am happy to accept this award in representation of each of them. My thanks to my husband is here today, my children, they couldn't be here, and all of my family in Mexico that know this is happening today, so very, very thankful for their support. And then I have some friends that are representing the people that have worked alongside with me. I am very thankful, Consul Franco, very much, and thank you to each one of you for the honor that you gave me today and for nominating me for this award. My friends at the Consulate, for Leonard's name, have been very, very helpful, and I am just happy to be here with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.